All right, there we go. Hello there. My name is Lynn Jocelyn. I'm a functional medicine physician assistant, and I have a small micro practice in Durango, Colorado called Integrated Spectrum of Health. And I am really passionate about community, both in my members and for my patients, and also creating community amongst other healthcare practitioners and providers so that we can network and collaborate to really support all humans in healing in the different ways. And I'm so excited to have a dear friend and somebody who I believe is just a true healer in many ways, Pam Kroll. And Pam is, she does brilliant, wonderful, awesome things. But the two of the main things which I just see Pam shine and really support people is with her essential oils. And I really feel that, Pam, you have and we'll go into this more, but this really powerful intuitive sense when it comes to many things, but specifically the oils. And then I hope we also have time to talk about your parenting business. I don't know if it's called coaching or business, but you are incredible in how you support young growing beings and the adults who are trying to navigate being parents. And one of the most beautiful ways you do this is through, well, I get to see, I don't go into your classes, but I get to see so much of your Instagram presence. And it brings me to tears often because I feel so deeply of where you are, and you are so authentic. So I'm going to stop talking so that we get to hear from you. And if you want to start, Pam, by just maybe sharing a little bit about you, and then we can just move into the conversation.
Love it. Well, thank you for having me here. I'm delighted. I love what you offer and what you do, and I learn a lot from what you share. And so, yeah, my name is Pam. I'm a mom of 3 daughters. We got all girls, ages 11, 8, and 6. I've been married now for, I think, almost 13 years. And that's a big part. Those are 2 really big, important pieces of my life. Like, my marriage is kind of a foundational thing. I'm very committed to always working and growing, and marriage inevitably allows you lots of space to grow and learn, as does parenting. And so those are 2 things I'm put a lot of heart and time into. And I'm also, yes, kind of like, I like to call it almost like a wellness guide or mentor. And I love supporting people and just elevating their lives on so many realms: the spiritual, the energetic, the physical, the mental, emotional. So, and I'm also a conscious parenting coach, I like to call it. And I'm a passionate woman. So I'm a lover of life and adventure, and I love to be outdoors and play with my kids outside and get them adventuring on raft trips and camping and mountain climbing and as much as we can. And like you, community and connection is the real core to who I am. And I'm a people lover. And I'm also, like I joke, an extroverted introvert. So I love my time with people, and then I gotta kind of come back in and quiet everything down for a while. And so I'm the both and in that way. So that's a little snippet on me. And I live in Mankato, Colorado. I'll add that in there.
Great. And I love that you put that. You're an extroverted introvert, because I see that with you. And I think you also, in my experience, share that with people, like to really find the both and in that piece. And it's so critical. So how did you get to, I know a little bit about nuggets or pieces of your story along the way, but I'd love for you to share a bit about, I feel like I'm going in a couple different directions, but I feel like your, a lot of this is really just bubbled up and really, and maybe it was brewing for a bit, but it's really the way you're putting it out there has been in the last, 3-ish years, or maybe more or shorter. But how did this all come to be? for
Oh
you?
my gosh. Well, honestly, I feel like an important part of my journey, and yes, it's been like I think 3 years now that I've started two businesses at the same time in the same month of the same year as a full-time homeschooling mom, meaning like I'm around my kids a lot. So it's kind of hilarious to do, but it's just what showed up and I trusted it. So, but prior to that, which is an important part of my journey, is I was someone who swore like I'd never have kids. Like I was from a kid, teenager, 20-year-old. It was like, I'm never having kids. I'm probably never getting married. I finally crushed the fear threshold of getting married. So glad I did because it's been one of the most nurturing, grounding things I've walked through. But the important piece of that is I realized I couldn't raise kids, me personally, the way I was watching outside of myself and the way I was watching society do. I was terrified to do that. And when I realized, and so part of that's a big part of my journey to get here. And the other part of that my journey is I've always been a very spiritual person, very intuitive person, very like connected, like seeing things a lot of times, seeing energetic movements and beings and things and talking to them. And like this has just always been part of who I am. And I had an opportunity, I think it was exactly 11 years ago, 12 years ago, to go on a healing journey and like learn how to be a healer for others. And so I did a 9-month intensive energy healing training. And then I ended up soon after that getting my Reiki master training. And so that became a big part of like kind of facing my fears and realizing sometimes my greatest gift is through the fear. And so I realized, all these like beings I talked to were like, you're supposed to be a mom, like just accept it and move on and like step in and like, let's go. We got plans for you. Like, what are you waiting on? Like, get over yourself, get over your fear. And so that is truly how I got here. So like becoming a mom grew me so much and doing it differently grew me so much because I just couldn't do it how I watched in society, the cultural norms and whatnot. And when I shifted into choosing to parent really consciously and looking at my being as potentially the next Buddha or the next Jesus, and that I don't know that that's what every parent does, but I chose to do that. I got to awaken and learn so much on that journey of seeing the wisdom within my little people that chose me to kind of raise them. And in that process too, I was so engrossed for 7 years nonstop with just, I'm mom and this is what I do. And I'm mom and this is what I do. And it went on for like 8 years. And eventually I said, I have got to do something again for me. And so all of this sort of plays into how did I get here? I was such a committed mom, which I don't regret one bit, but it was time, like basically life said, it's time now for you to give out. Like I'd given into the nest and my little people in their foundational years. And it was time to take kind of the journey I'd walked through
Mm.
and share it more. And so that's how I end up sharing my love of, conscious parenting, raising, our kids with a bit more spiritual mindset. And it's also how, I'd been blessed with deep healing on the physical occurring for my family through use of Young Living essential oils. And I was like, I gotta share this with people. Like this cannot just stay here. And so, and then also spiritual healing that I watched happen through using those particular oils. Anyway, so it just all happened literally in 2000, I think it was 19. I started two businesses in January of 2019, conscious parenting and sharing Young Living oils with people. And so that's kind of the how I got here. And it was time for me to be of more service. I'd been to service to my family and life really showed me it's time for you to be of service to the all. So that's kind of how that unfolded and opened. And
How
here I
did
am.
your people, your little people and your partner, was that a smooth transition or was it rocky? I mean, that's
It was
big because
all of it.
yeah,
I'd
right.
say the first year was the messiest, of course, because
Yeah.
I didn't know how to find balance. I
Mm.
didn't know how to ask for what I needed as well as I thought
Mhm.
I would. And so it was incredible personal growth. Like that year was like all about like me needing to grow into like, how do I do it all? And of course you don't do it all. You do a little bit here and a little bit there. And so I'd say this last year has been my most grace filled and my most
Mhm.
joyful year too of business, which I'm delighted to be more graceful and more joyful in my business. But I'd
Right.
say it was
Right.
messy at first. And it was really about me learning boundaries and me
Mm.
learning to ask for what I needed. The classic mom stuff, I feel like.
Human stuff, right? I think
Yeah,
boundaries are so critical, and
exactly.
you role model that with your kids so well. I watch you. It's
Yeah.
beautiful. It's
Well,
absolutely beautiful.
and one of the most humbling things was like, oh, my my need or my joy or like my service is important enough, like my self-worth is what really got uncovered too. It's like, oh, I'm worthwhile. My worth and my needs are important too. And then that of course played deeply into like made me a better coach because I got to like like my look at my stuff even deeper as a parent, and get to model that. And then same with oil, like I got to use a lot of oils to help me break through limiting beliefs and like mindset issues and just all kinds of stuff. So
Powerful. And so do you integrate your work with oils and your conscious parenting, or are they pretty separate? I can't imagine they'd be separate, but
I'd say if I get a sense people are open to it, I absolutely integrate because I've had such beautiful shifts during meltdowns with like, let me just get this peace and calming oil on my wrists while you're crying and screaming. And I'm just going to be the personal diffuser between. Plus, it also helps me. And so it's modeling like I need to take care of myself so I can be that calm in the storm. But it's also, so yes, it totally goes both ways. But the
powerful.
self-care is like if I can really, it's so true of all things in life. If I can fill my own cup and make sure I'm grounded first and I'm centered, I'm going to show up better for my kids, for my husband, for life, for my business. I mean, so yes, they're definitely fairly intertwined. If people are open, I will share. Well, here's just a thought, or it is, you're right. I am intuitive. So sometimes a certain oil or a certain practice will show up and I'll share.
And so how did you get into the oils? Them like just playing yourself, or did you have, and then,
A desperate need, no joke.
yeah, and segue, like I would love to have you share some of those
Mhm.
profound healing
Yeah,
moments if you're open to it.
I'm totally open because
Yeah.
honestly, it was a desperate need. It's a really clear moment when the shift happened, and my kids were on this trajectory of sick, 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 and I was like, what the heck? Like we generally ate healthy whole foods. I used homeopathic and gave them good vitamins and probiotics, and I was like, what the heck? Like I get like when they're young, like they were young, they're like probably my oldest was about 7. Anyways, they were desperately sick. And what would happen is one would get sick and then the next child would get sick. And so we were just not leaving the house sometimes for 2 or 3 weeks. We'd get over it and then boom, the next one would come in. And it was long. It was like long sicknesses. And I was like, pulling my hair out as a mom. I was tired. I was up at night with like each kid's worst nights, like round after round. They were young, so they were tough sicknesses. And so I was emotionally and physically just worked. And I just remember texting my friend literally like, oh my God, my youngest is like terribly sick again. I don't know what else to do. I've done this and this and this. Do you have any other suggestions? And she literally said, do you have oils in your house? Here's some things you asked. I took a picture. This is what I got. She was like, and she said, and I will tell you, quality really matters. And can I get you some Young Living oils? And I was like, okay, if you think they make that much of a difference. I mean, I just use them for nice little smells. That's all I did. And I
Right,
had a bunch
right.
of different
Yeah.
brands. And I'll be honest, when that Young Living box came, I could feel the difference before I even opened the bottle, and I get it. I'd been trained in how to read energy and I was like, whoa. I literally was like, this is different, you know? And the truth is, I got those oils in our home and I'm not exaggerating. My kids have not gotten sick like that ever again. They just haven't. They have not done the week-long sicknesses. When they get sick, it's rare. It happens once or twice a year. It's for maybe 3 days at most. It averages 2. And that is the difference is we are using essential oils, Young Living quality, and we're getting their vitamins in the house and we have their like nutrient rich supplement drink. And I'm in awe of the different, like we went from this to this and it was profound and we haven't gone back and it's been three and a half full years. So yeah, I'm a believer. Like, I
That
mean,
is
it was night
powerful.
and day. It was night and day. But then what happened is my oldest, my other big like wow moment was my oldest had eczema, 8 years, and we did it all. I mean, we truly saw all the different layers of doctors and allergists and like what, because she had epic allergies, just constant swollen eyes and snot pouring out of her nose. Like she just suffered and it was so painful. I was just trying every single thing I could think of to support her. And everything helped a little bit. We changed all the products out of our house. Everything helped a little bit. We changed her diet. We like tried the allergy relief stuff. We tried the like diet. I mean, just it was everything. Anyways, 1 month. And I intuitively got, when we got the new oils and the diffuser, I was like, this is going in Carly's room every single night. Because this daughter has gotten worked for 8 years.
Right.
And every year her eczema and her allergies get better, but they don't go away. And so I was like a mom on an intuitive, like, we're just going to put this thieves in your room every single night and diffuse it. And a month later, she walked out. It was a February. It was her birthday month. You know, I always remember it. She was 8. She had a short sleeve shirt on and all of her rashes were gone. It was the first time in 8 years she did not have rashes on her skin. And
Wow.
she never got them again.
And that was just by diffusing it, not
Just
putting any sort of,
isn't it amazing? I mean, it blows my mind.
it blows my mind. Yeah.
Anything else that entire 30 days. It wasn't something I was like, it was an intuitive part of my brain was like, at night, this goes in Carly's room. During the day, it comes out in the family space, but at night, it goes in her room. And this is what I'm going to put in it. And just trusted
And
it.
you knew, like,
Just
you just
knew.
trusted. So, and it was thieves you mentioned that you put in there.
And a lot, I mean, I did lavender sometimes and some frankincense, but good golly. I mean,
Wow.
she looked down. It was one of those powerful moments. She looked down and she went, oh my God. And I looked at her arms and our eyes met and we both got teary eyed. I mean, we'd spent 8 years working together to like heal her system and everything helped. And I think the thieves just reset like homeostasis, boom.
Yeah.
So I knew I needed to share. So anyways, that I just felt so passionate about what I had seen. And then the last one, and this is like one of like a fraction of things we've experienced, but my husband had allergies for 40 years. I mean, 40 plus years. He'd gotten the shots as a kid. He got the skin tests. He got all the like the Benadryls and like he'd had terrible asthma. And like I have been with him married when his eyes were swollen shut and he just goes box after tissue after box of tissues just pouring out when hay season comes. And the last 2 years, the man has had no allergies because he's using the things that we have found that work. And I mean, it blows my mind. And he last year said,
powerful.
It works. He was like, I'm so grateful. You have no idea. I'm not suffering like I have.
Now with him, did you have to do any internal things or was it all as well, like topical or did you do, I know you can put some in capsules, right? Is that?
You can put some in capsules, you can make a roller. And so we did it all. Like we hit it hard when and I started researching like, well, what else can these things do?
Yeah.
And I think that's part of my excitement to teach and passion to teach is because I helped my daughter through like mega anxiety too, using them. It's not just on the physical, like major, like nightmares, getting support through nightmare season and like, anyways, just all kinds of stuff. Yes, capsules and fusing and rollers and also some supplements that really helped. And he gave up gluten. I mean, was it just the oils? No, but it was the combination of everything. He'd given up the gluten the year before and he still had them. And then this just like has just created lasting results is what I want to say. So makes it easy for me to talk about. It's exciting.
I love watching you talk about it because you are so you're so passionate because it has been so important in your lives and you've seen it right firsthand.
I've watched people I love stop suffering.
Yeah.
I mean, and it feels so empowering for me to have I call it our medicine cabinet, but our wall of oils. And then we have some supplements and we use other things too. I still use homeopathics. Absolutely. And plant tinctures and raw honey and like all kinds of things, but it's empowering. And that's the best part to me.
So powerful. And I love it is multi-layered, all of this stuff, right? And that's another reason that I'm doing these is because we need all of this at different times. I think we like different times of our lives, we're going to respond to different things and different people and different healing modalities and things. And I think one of the things about oils, and I love how knowledgeable you are, and I know you, so I just trust your intuition so much, just because I've seen it, I trust it. It's powerful. So I just think that combination is so cool, because you don't just read it in a book and say, do this because the book says. You're like,
Totally.
oh, that's interesting. And then it comes from you is how I think. So how do you work with people like one-on-one with oils, or is it like, what does that look like with the oil piece?
Yeah, it's a little bit of everything. I mean, I love working with however it works for people. I share on social media, which is not necessarily the easiest form for me, but I'm also like, well, if I reach more people and it helps somebody out, like,
You're
great.
brilliant on it, by the way. I absolutely love it. You get on and dance, and I love it. It makes me smile.
Well, and I'm trying to bring like humor, realness,
Yeah.
like vulnerability, like, all of it, just hilarity. Anyways, so yes, I love the one-on-ones. Those are some of my favorites for sure. And I definitely teach classes online and in person. Now the in person kind of went away for a while, of course, I feel like many of us. And so that feels like it's literally just waking back up, which I'm thrilled about. And same with parenting, like that turned fully online, which totally works, and over phone calls. And I may start up those classes too as well. So
you do both like one-on-one and group work with both parenting. I mean, you just both are amazing, but and the oils. So if somebody was like, oh, I really want to work with Pam for oils, or you'll leave how to reach you, right, with me, and I can put that. And I mean, I know how to reach you, but do you I think so. A couple of things. I didn't know about your Reiki energy work. That's powerful. So you did that, you said, like 11 years ago?
I think that's what got me to finally face my fear of being a mom. But yes, that was my pre-kids, pre-marriage, totally.
And do you do any of that, or just kind of bring that into all you do? How does that piece fit in?
That is exactly. I mean, I use it all the time as a parent. I use it to calm my own nervous system. I use it to help my kid. Like if they get injured, they've kind of learned since young, like, well, bring in, like, ground your feet to the earth and let's bring in some energy and put your hands on the hurt part.
So
Let your heart open and let whatever needs to flow, and let's ask, your spirit helpers, like, well, what do you need right now? And, so that's kind of just the way I've done it with them from the beginning, and just helping them learn all parts of their being has been really important to me. All the emotional and the physical and the energetic and the spiritual, and those are kind of equal parts for me.
Yeah, that's powerful.
And yeah, I totally use it in the oils, because I'll sometimes try to read, like, what am I getting? And God, well, this part of your body's really standing out, even though I know you have this symptom, but so yes, it goes both ways. And I do actually do some energy work with certain people's kids with their permission and the kids' permission. And so that does happen now and again on sessions with people.
So yeah, I mean, it's all of it. And isn't it true? Like, that's how life gets us to where we are. If you start to think about just putting all this together, and now you're living it. It came together. You said that first year was really intense and a little bit turbulent, and now you've had the
anyone who starts a business, right? The first year's like, what am I doing?
Yeah, right. And now you're getting a taste of that grace and ease a little bit in your work, and
I trust more if I don't have clients. I've learned and I've noticed, like, oh, it's because I'm going through a growth period. I'm learning how to parent through this storm or this challenge or this mooding or whatever it is. I'm learning something. And then I'll notice people start calling me. I mean, it's just been hilarious to track. It's like, oh, well, it's quiet. I know why. Okay, great. Let me just dig in and, like, what's here for me.
That's powerful right there. That's really, So speaking of, okay, so I know you and I have talked a lot about self-care and filling up cups, especially as you're a mom, a very busy mom, really beautiful, brilliant, active, fiery children, all of them a little bit of everything.
Mhm.
And your marriage and partnership is really important. So I know you put so much into that, and you have your two businesses. So what about you? Like,
Yeah.
part of these conversations is, how do we keep that flame, your passion lit without getting burnout, even in the things we love, right?
Yes,
So how do you fill up
absolutely.
your cup? What
Mhm.
works for you?
Oh, that's a really good question because I thought I had the answer, and that's kind of how I'm like, I know it's really true. Like I connect to a deeper source, and I'm like, oh, me, Pam, human, just on my own, I am gonna burn out big time. But when I tap into that just greater source, I'm like, oh, that's how I keep going all these years. That's how I did 3 kids, 5 and under. I mean, I'm 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 living walking truth of like, I get the days are long. I get it's hard. I get there's a lot of demand. And that's the only way I've ever known to like come back and be filled. Like a lot of nights before I go to sleep, I pray and ask that I release, whatever from the day and be filled with everything I need. I mean, I get all the rest and sleep I need, even if I'm woken up in the middle of the night. And, that has been at the core of like how I, do the day to day, just absolute core. So it's just that connection to the divine, just feeding me, and then
Powerful.
on the more like, because I am human, but I'm like
Yeah.
right here living the life and fumbling all over the place. So, I connect with friends. I mean, that is a huge part.
Okay.
It's just like a core group of just beautiful humans who will love me in my ugliness and my messiness and my what the heck am I doing and my lack of confidence and who will remind me like who I am when I forget. And so I'm grateful for those people and being outside. That's a huge like feet on the earth, like
Mm.
feel the wind in my hair, like it's amazing to me how I'll be struggling and will take the darn dog for a walk and I'm like, of course, this is all I needed. Like, oh my gosh, it's
Yeah.
so easy sometimes. I make it so complicated. So
We make life pretty complicated. Yeah.
sometimes we
But
really do.
I love that piece that you just reach out to source and ask for what you need. And yeah, it's simple, and yet it's remembering to do it, or doing it, like not getting so caught up in the chaos and the this and that and to-dos, and stopping enough, right? Because
Mhm.
intellectually we know that, yes, I need to do that so I can do this, but sometimes the whole picture doesn't always do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's
So
like a daily practice of like in however many moments I can remember. Like I have bad moments where I forget. And then I have moments where I remember before I step into conflict with my kids. And though it's always different when I remember to pause first and then come.
yeah, really good lessons. So I want to finish with one more question, and I think you've kind of answered it, but I want to just ask it in a different way, to see how you answer. Part of my mission too is to really help people heal, to a point where they're able to wake up and do what lights them up every day. So what really lights you up?
Mm. Man, I'm gonna kind of come back to, but it's living a life connected to something deeper and greater than myself. I mean, really, truly, that lights me up. And when I get out of my busy, like I got to do 100 things, and I remember like the perspective, and I expand, like I feel joyful. I feel the passion come back. I feel the like I'm enough to be with the busyness. So there's abundance of time, like that really lights me up when I remember to connect to greater than myself. Does a lot for me.
Powerful.
So
That's really powerful. I have to ask one question, piggyback on that one. Um, were you like that as a child? Did you know how to connect? It's so authentic,
mm,
when you
Good
Well,
question.
when I'm with you, that's an authentic piece of you when you speak about it. So I'm just curious if that was something you had to seek out or was just always part of you.
I mean, that's such a good question. And I would say it's always been a part of me, and it always hasn't always been an easy part of me. Let me tell you that when you're that age and that's how you operate, like you don't have a lot of friends.
Yeah.
And you're
Yeah.
kind of an odd, like I realized I was like, oh, I'm different. I'm an oddball. If I talk like that, everyone's like, why is she talking? And so there was a way too, I turned away and like, I got to do all that interpersonal work of like, wait, let me love myself for who I am. But there were the years where it's like, but I want friends and I want to fit in. And oh my gosh, this isn't the cool part of me. And let me just hide that back here and use it when I need it. And so yes, has it been a part of me? Absolutely. Like I think I had kind of a different experience as a child than maybe other kids did. And I think that's why I wanted to really nurture that in my own kids. Because I truly believe we all have it. I don't
Yeah.
think I'm special. It's like I just believe that so deep in my being that like we all are connected. We all have these abilities. We all, have gifts. And I think the more we allow them and acknowledge them, they just come alive in us. So
Really powerful.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, you absolutely live it. And I love how, I love how you're okay with messy. You're okay with the bigness of the emotions of life because it is so full. And I think minimizing that is such a disservice to all those around us. And your three beautiful beings are so lucky, and we are also
Oh,
lucky to have them in the world too. And I'm so excited to see they're going to do great things because you
what
are
am I gonna do? Who knows?
really having this space for them to really express who they are as humans. And that's we don't always all get that opportunity in such a beautiful way. So thank you. And Pam, thanks so much for spending the time in visiting today. Is
Thank
there,
you.
as just to close up, is there words of wisdom you have from your journey, from
Mm.
your healing gifts, to anybody that's listening that might support them?
Oh man, that's a good one. It's just so, and it's like trust that inner voice, trust that inner knowing. I mean, even when you second guess it, it's just been a beautiful journey for me of like, I finally don't question myself anymore. It's like when it comes from that place, I know this
Yeah.
versus this, and just, oh, the gifts that come when we just continually come back to like, oh gosh, I'm supposed to do this. Okay. Or like, oh, I'm not supposed to go to that. Like, come on. But I've learned that like it's always works out the way it's supposed to when I really follow that. So that would be my one. It's like really listen to that.
Trust that inner voice that
Yeah.
lives in your body that you feel, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we all doubt it sometimes, but
Oh, yeah.
it's
And
like
you
that's
did, it
like
was
a step
perfect.
forward.
It's when we're two up here, exactly what you did. When we're two in our heads and not in the, in our hearts or bodies
Yeah.
and all of that. So, well, I will, for whoever's listening, make sure that I have your contact and everything in the notes below in the show notes. It's kind of podcasty. And so that we can find you. And of course, if anybody's
Wonderful.
listening and they're like, oh, who was that awesome woman that does parenting and oils, of course, I'll always put you in connection. And thanks so much, Pam, for doing all the work you're doing. And it's been an honor to watch, and we get to connect, I don't know, a couple times a year for a juicy walk. And I really love that. And it's been beautiful to watch your journey. And so I look forward to more brilliance.
Yeah.
So whoever's listening, thanks for being here today. And we'll close up, and I look forward to seeing you next time.
Sounds good.
Hey, bye, Pam.